this image. It's already pretty light and airy to begin with. This is straight out of RAW, and the straight out of camera looks pretty much exactly like this. But I just wanted to show you how I would edit to go along with the feel of this image. So first I'm going to clean up the faces just a little bit. So to do that, I will Command J. This image was shot with a 5D Mark III, and the lens was the 135 2.0, and it was shot at 2.0. It's pretty sharp for being 2.0. I mean, look at those eyes. Maybe this one's just not as sharp as I wish it was. So a quick fix to that is in our Christy Hobson designer set is the barely out of focus fixer. And with a white brush, I'd hit the B button on my keyboard, and I use the brackets next to the letter P to make it smaller or bigger. And then I use a white brush right here. You can see the white, and I'll lower this a little bit, and then I'll just brush this on right here. And really, I think that takes care of just any little sharpening a little bit of extra pop that I wanted those eyes to have. So first I'm going to fix this right here. She cut her hair, and so it's growing back, and so it's in that awkward stage. And so I duplicate the layer by hitting Command J, and I always do this on a duplicate layer. And with the Spot Healing Brush tool, it'll pretty much take care. You just click what you want to get rid of, and it pretty much will get rid of what is there. And I'll just kind of come over and look at her face and see if there's anything else that needs to be cleaned up. Right there. And then I'll come over here. And it looks like she was eating chips or something in the car on the way here. I'll just kind of clean everything up a little bit. And then I'll use the clone tool. Let me get rid of that. Perfect. So I can go ahead and merge that, and then I'll go ahead and Command or Control J, and now I'm going to get rid of the under eye stuff. And it's going to look really strong at first, but I'll go ahead and show you how I do that. So I always do it at 100% just so I can see exactly what is happening. So I'll go ahead and get rid of this. And then I'll go down over here and get rid of this. And I always use a selection point like right below, so it's natural. Okay, so that's going to seem really unnatural at first, but let me show you what I do. So now I come up here and I can lower the opacity of it. So you can still see some of the lines or the wrinkles, I guess, but it just takes the strength away from them, and it doesn't make it a focus. And it takes a lot of the dark under eye out, but leaves the texture. So that's how I like to do that. So it doesn't look super unnatural, but it's not as dark and like in your face. So Shift Command E to merge that. And now I will work on the dress right here. Hue saturation layer. I already know that there's some, just by looking at it, that there's some blue and cyan in the dress. But to see that, you can click this little hand here and then click somewhere in the dress, and it'll show you the color. So I'll go ahead and desaturate that, and then I'll come up to blues, and I can show you, again, if you look at the dresses, there's blue in there, so I'll go ahead and desaturate that. And then I'll come over to the mask and Command I, because I don't want to change the bushes or anything out there, so then I'll use a white brush, and I'll raise this to 100%. And I'll brush over here where I don't want it to, where I want to desaturate those dresses. So now if you look at the dresses, so this is before and this is after. It looks much better. So now I'm ready to edit the actual image. So first what I'm going to do is come down here to what looks like this little page turning, this little down here, and you click it and it's going to start a new layer. I'm going to hit my B button for my brush and my brackets to make it bigger. I'm going to go about this big, and then I'm going to click the Option button or the Alt button, and you'll get this little Doppler that the little Doppler thing that pops up, and so you click it, and you can click a color. I'll go ahead and click around the image, and I don't want to get it on their faces at all. Okay, And then if I feel like I got it on their faces at all, I can come over here to my eraser tool and just use a soft eraser and erase it off. Perfect. Then I'll come over here to your modes right here and change it to screen. And then I'll lower this probably about 50% or so. So perfect. So I like the way that that looks. So then Shift Command E. And then I'll come over here to the Just a Pinch set, which is like my favorite set. So I'll use Just a Pinch of color. And that'll add, the Just a Pinch set, it's just like its name says. It'll add just a little bit of each thing. So I'll hit Shift Command E. Or if I know I want to add more, I can just hit Command J and it'll duplicate that for me. So then on this one, on this layer, I'm going to use a black brush. And I'm going to brush at 100% on that layer because I don't want I felt like it was too strong on the skin. Perfect. So I think the one on the skin is fine, but the second one on the skin made it too strong for me. So Shift Command E to merge those. And then I can do a pinch of darkness. And if I want, I can hit Command I to invert that and then use a white brush. So I can hit my X button to toggle between the colors. And if it's black, you use white. If this is white, you use black. So I'll just kind of go like this really fast and just brush this on a little bit. And then I'll hit Shift Command E. And then I'll do a pinch of warming. And then I'll lower the opacity of this just a little bit. And I think that's perfect. And then the very last thing I'm going to do is Cloud 9. And that's from the second set. And this is one of my favorite actions. And it's going to give this the softness that you're wanting. So I'll go ahead and it's also got some warming. So I can lower that since I already warmed it up. And then you come up to the Cuddly Soft. And then I'll use about 50 to 60% or so. And I'll brush on where there already is some natural bokeh and softness. If there's not any natural softness behind your subject, it's going to look fake. Okay, so I do that. And then I lower the opacity again, like another 20%. And now I'm just skimming over like the very edge of their hair here. Okay, and then I'll lower it again to like 10% or so. I lower it about 20% each time. And then I'll come over here and I'll just kind of click on their hair and just make that soft, just like this. And also I'll come over here with that and brush it on there. Okay, so, and then there's also this optional soft layer, like soft tone. So I'll click that and lower that. And then at 100% brush, use a black brush, sorry, and I'll brush that off of them because I don't want them to be like super hazy or anything like that. Okay, so then Shift Command E to merge that. And then I'm just going to come up to my levels and I'm just going to do a simple levels pop just to add a little bit more contrast. And I'm not paying attention to their faces at all. I'm only paying attention to out here. So I think that's good. And then on this mask, I'll use a black brush and at about like 50 to 60%, I'll brush off of them because I don't want them to be super contrasty or poppy, but I want them to blend in more with the background. So I think that's perfect. So Shift Command E. So this is what we started with, and this is what we ended with. And it's a nice kind of airy edit that kind of goes with the image. It's warm. It's not over edited. And if I wasn't explaining everything, it would only take a couple minutes. Now the other thing you can do if you want it to be even softer or airier is to add another blank layer with this little button down here that looks like it's turning a page. And then use a white brush and come over here, just like we did with the purple one, and brush it on here. And actually, I probably need to raise that to 100%. And again, just like this. And now you can play with your different modes here. So if you go to screen, it's going to be really bright. You can also come over here to soft light, which I really like soft light. and that adds just a little bit more like kind of brightness. And if you feel like you didn't get all the areas, you can, brush it on after the fact. And I feel like that's really good too. So that gives you just a more kind of like a softer look. You also need to remember to brush in here also, because you don't want it to look super fake. And actually, I forgot to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this color. I know I did it on screen, so I'm going to lower the opacity there, and then I'm just going to come in with the purple and brush it on in there. And now it looks like it matches. Perfect. So I think that is pretty close to being awesome. So that was just adding that extra white if you wanted it to be more airy and bright. So we went from that to this in just a couple of minutes. I mean, it took me a little bit longer because I was explaining everything, but if you were just doing things, it really wouldn't take that long. The other thing that you could do too, and I like to do this in the Just a Pinch set, is a pinch of makeup touch-up. And it's one of my favorite things to like make eyes stand out and stuff. If you use a white brush, and I'll use it at probably like 20 to 30% or so, and you brush it on the cheeks where like blush would be, and then you make your brush smaller and you brush it on the lips, and then you come up here to like the eye and like where the eyeliner is, would be. And her eyes naturally already like have tons of pop, this one. And then the other thing I like to do is to make the brush really small and then just kind of like quickly run over where all of the eyelashes would be. And I'm not adding any eyelashes because you can see I'm like clicking right here and it's not really adding anything, but it's just accentuating where the eyelashes already are. So it's almost like mascara. So, and then there's, if you just look at their eyes, and even their cheeks, I guess, if you wanted to add a little bit of pop. And the nice thing is you can lower the opacity and strength of this also. So if you feel like it was too strong, you can lower this also. So, anyways, if you have any questions, let me know. But this is just how I would do this quick edit. So again, we went from this to this in just a couple of minutes. If you wanted to, you could also bring some of the light and like airy feeling down here. So you could use a white brush. Let me click the brush tool, which is B, and brush it on right here. Again, like depending on how heavy you want it to be, and then hit soft light or screen, and then that kind of adds that softness, the softness feel here also. So I super love the way that this looks, and I'm gonna print this for my, for my family. But if you have any questions, for sure, let me know. Thanks so much.